Otakuology Podcast with Otaku Mike and Jin Graves.
Hey guys, welcome back for another amazing episode of the Otakuology Podcast. With me, as always, what's the thing you say? My heterosexual love partner?
My heterosexual life partner.
My heterosexual life partner. Otaku Mike. So, yeah, he's here too.
I'm here too,
and we are covering the new movie that just dropped on one of the new movies, I guess, that just dropped on Disney Plus earlier in the week, which is Rescue Rangers. Chip and Dale came back.
Rescue Rangers, yeah.
The Rescue Rangers.
I have a question. I have a question.
Yeah.
Why wasn't this movie in theaters? Like, this just went straight to Disney Plus.
Yeah, maybe they just didn't think that it was going to get the traction that it was going to get.
It got so hard traction, like good traction, I think.
Yeah. No, I really feel like they probably could have named it something else and it did just as well. But because that was another thing with as many characters as they had, I thought it was really funny. Then they could have called it something else besides.
Or, I mean, the characters that they pulled from, like, but we'll get into it when we get into the
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch, but
yeah.
The first thing I wanted to bring up is I thought it was fucking hilarious that in the movie they actually bring up that they're going to do a reboot, and you have one of the guys going, "No, that's fake news. It's not happening," or whatever. and it threw me off guard because I was sitting there and I was like, "Wait, hold on a second. I'm watching the reboot. Like,
yeah,
what the fuck?"
But in the tagline of the movie, it says, "Don't call it a reboot; it's a comeback."
Yeah,
it's basically a pseudo sequel to the TV show, which is a TV show in this world,
right?
Yeah.
So before we actually get into it, how did you like that idea of it?
I thought it was pretty clever, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, they make fun of a lot of the live action, like, reboot CGI stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
They fucking go hard on Alvin and the Chipmunks.
That's true. That is very true. I think there's one spot where somebody's like, "Oh yeah, we got the better chipmunks," and they're like Alvin and the Chipmunks or whatever. And you have Dale where he's like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I thought that was a pretty clever idea to set it like in the real world, but be like, oh, they were just actors on a show, which was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was a pretty clever move.
Well, I kind of wonder if they didn't want to use the voices for them anymore like that.
Well, the thing is, though, that they did use the voices. The voices popped up in the show.
They did. Well, and I just think, I wonder if they didn't want to use it for, like, the entire movie.
Probably. I could see that.
Because it does kind of turn into a funny gimmick when they do their voices.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I gotta be honest, I'm kind of glad that they didn't do the voices. I think Gidget and Monterey Jack were the voices, because Jim Cummings comes back for to do the bad guy, and then when Darkwing Duck shows up later on, which that part was pretty funny.
That's true.
I think they come back, and then maybe Zip, the person who does like the Zipper voice, comes back.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if they honestly did the squeaky voice for the whole movie, I don't think I would be as into it as I was.
Yeah.
Because just like in Alvin and the Chipmunks, the squeaky voices kind of get to you.
Yeah.
Like I thought, because I watched a little bit of the TV show before I watched this.
They're singing again.
Yeah, oh, they're singing again. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, let's get into this movie. And discuss and
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah. So there are like a shit ton of cameos.
Oh, yeah, I lost count of how many characters are in this movie.
Oh, a lot. I mean, like I had to go back and rewatch parts of it because I would pause it and be like, "All right, let me look through the crowd real quick."
I think I have to go back and watch this movie again to see all the cameos. I saw Ash Ketchum in the movie, or somebody dressed up as Ash Ketchum at one
Yeah,
point.
the background.
And there was somebody dressed up as Sailor Moon at one point in a background.
I saw that too. Because it's kind of like they're at a con.
Yeah, they're at like a convention. Yeah.
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 Well, and then so there are, and it's not character cameos. It's movie cameo thingies that I really like. So if you watch the credits,
why are you hitting on the fucking desk?
Mm,
You know your microphone picks that up, right?
it was for you, buddy. The code word. Who's getting a drawing today, buddy? But at the end with the end credits or whatever, it was all these old like movie intros.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, I did. I noticed it.
So that's what I really liked right there at the end, is that you had all of these movie like intros and stuff going into it that were very noticeable. So I mean, like almost everything to a T is that way.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have a question for you though.
Yeah.
Who is fat or ugly Sonic? Because I kept thinking, like, I'm so confused on this. Is it really Sonic, or who is this?
So do you want to get into the actual movie and we get to Ugly Sonic? I'll tell you who Ugly Sonic is when we get to that point.
I mean, we can. It's pretty early on.
Okay, well, we can do that. Let's actually get into the movie and start talking about the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Chip and Dale meet at school.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, we get cameos. I mean, everybody that goes to school with them, some of them, I think their teacher is it Hannibal or whatever that is.
It's Maribel, I think it is.
Maribel, which is from the regular Mickey Mouse classic show.
I could be getting that name wrong. I don't remember what her name was. To be exact,
I can't remember.
But I love this scene at the beginning where Dale shows up and he's like, "Hey, how's it going, everybody?" And he like pretends to have like a pencil jabbed in his eye, and everybody freaks out. And I'm like, "Oh, that's funny. That's fucking funny." And like Chip and Dale like meet each other in the classroom and whatnot, and or no, in the lunchroom, I guess you could say.
Yeah, they see each other in the classroom, but they don't meet each other yet.
Yeah.
Which, did you notice that Chip's lunchbox was a Knight Rider lunchbox?
I did notice that. That was hard not to miss.
It's like, the heck?
That was hard not to miss that he was a fan of Knight Rider.
Yeah. And then so they do that, they meet each other, they become really good friends, and they actually leave the school and I guess go to hang out at Chip's house, and you find out that Chip's house is literally like right there.
Next to Dale's house. I think
it's right next to the school too.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because they panel out from the school and they go over and you're like, what?
But yeah, they've definitely become fast friends in this, and we see them kind of grow up over the years. They become like, I would say like they don't join the circus. They become like a comedic act or something like that.
Yes.
I don't remember what exactly it is, but they try to, and they're like extras in a bunch of TV shows and commercials, and
Yeah,
they
which Full House is one of them that they brought up, and I was like,
which
"Oh,
yeah, yeah, and they were in like a deodorant commercial at one point. I think it was, uh, and then they get like a big break, and they get their own show, which is Rescue Rangers, and then they like have like 3 years of Rescue Rangers, and then when the third season ends, I think it is, Dale gets another show, and it breaks up the team, and Rescue Rangers gets canceled.
Double O Dale,
Double O Dale, which is a reference to James Bond,
007."
and
Yeah,
it breaks him up. And is this when we see Dale at the convention after this?
yeah. Right after this, it's like
Okay.
did it? Which so the other funny thing that I really liked is they play with the size of a bunch of things too.
Yeah.
Like everybody has like little cars if you're a little character, and Dell has this big car with like a bumped up seat and everything, so he can actually drive it.
He's got like an extender for his wheel and like for pedals.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, and you just have random stuff like that. Like their phone, at one point you see like somebody have a little tiny phone, but it's funny
Uh-huh.
because whenever he gets the call to talk to his agent about Double Odell or whatever, the phone is the same size as him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an old phone. It's an old
So
like brick cell phone type of thing.
yeah. So that
Yeah.
was another thing that I liked is them playing with the sizes of stuff.
Yeah, that was definitely funny because Chip makes a reference to it. He's like, you can have a normal sized car. You don't need a human sized car, basically.
Yeah.
In that.
Yeah. So, and then we get into the con and we find out, you know, that he's there kind of like with the washed up people,
Yeah.
and he's got his little crew that's around him, which is like him and Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast.
Lumiere needs that money. He keeps accidentally burning it.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I really need that money." And then he's got Ugly Sonic
Yeah,
and Shira.
it's not Shira, it's Tigra.
That's what it is, Tigra.
Tigra. Do
And
you
then
know?
he
Do you
have
know
one
what?
more person on the other side.
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Okay.
Do you remember what Tigra is from? Do you know?
Uh, Tigra is from. Isn't she from like Thundercats?
No. So Tigra is an Avengers character, and she is that particular Tigra is from a failed Avengers 90s cartoon that came out back in the
Yeah,
day.
that's funny.
Yeah. That's what that particular Tigra's from.
That's
So,
funny.
yeah, we get Ugly Sonic, which is probably one of the best yet biggest cameos in this movie.
Yeah,
He's basically like a secondary character.
yeah,
Almost.
yeah,
Which for anybody who doesn't know, like Jin Graves, Ugly Sonic, that's the original Sonic the Hedgehog design for the first movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I knew that then. I was confused because I was trying to look at the pictures behind him
Uh-huh.
and put it, and those ones look like regular Sonic, and I
Yeah.
was just confused. It's like, well, how does this guy fit into this? If he's like, I'm Ugly Sonic.
Which, man, the Disney legal team had to have fucking pulled some strings and paid so much money for like all the different characters that they did not own themselves,
Right.
because they have to pay for everything if they do not own the character, I think. Like every character that shows up.
Probably. I bet. I mean, unless somebody was like, "Hey, free advertisement," I don't know.
No, they had to pay for those characters.
But
just like in Roger Rabbit.
yeah, but we go through it, and we do get a cameo from Roger Rabbit. Which, have you ever heard of the Roger Rabbit dance?
No.
Because they go, "We were doing the Roger Rabbit with Roger Rabbit." And I was like,
Was that just made up for the movie?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that's an actual dance.
I saw Paula Abdul there with the DJ cat, whatever his name was. That was pretty funny.
See, I don't know if I noticed that.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I really noticed besides like the digital characters was I noticed one voice, which we'll get to that when we get to that character or whatever. But we do have where Dell goes home, kind of has all these moments where people were like, "Oh, well, you could have, done better at the thing with Chip being there or something else like that." And then we get Chip's life.
Yeah.
And Chip is
an insurance. She sells insurance.
Yeah, an insurance guy.
Yeah.
Which I liked the conversation he had on the phone. It seemed like any time that he was talking to anybody, it was him trying to sell insurance. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whatever it was, he was talking to him, and he actually like brought up stuff like, "Oh, well, if this is something that would have happened, then you need this." So that was pretty funny. And then he walked past that house.
House, Miss House, whatever
Miss
name
House,
is.
yeah. And I was like, that's kind of weird, but I see it in the car or in the show, which we also forgot to mention. So now that we're up to date and everything, Dell had some reassignment surgery.
He had that 3D surgery.
Yeah, to now being a 3D model instead of a 2D model.
Yeah, he had that 3D reassignment surgery, which that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I was like, what in the hell?
Because when they meet up, it's like a big contrast, like between the two of them.
Yeah,
and Chip's like, you look different.
Yeah. Which,
yeah,
I mean, you could see like it looked like he had gray hairs coming out of him or whatever, like he aged.
I think so.
But you didn't see any of that on Dale, so it was kind of funny seeing that too, because it's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But we get to go along with Dale's walk home from the insurance building or whatever.
You mean Chip?
Yeah, Chip. And Chip has this little tiny house that's in like a gated area. And he has a dog
named Millie.
And his whole house is basically set up for Millie.
Everybody thinks Millie's like his girlfriend.
Yeah.
But it's just his pet dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I thought it was hilarious how his whole house was just set up for her.
Yeah. That was a really cute scene.
Because he was like, oh, let me pull this down. Here's some food for you. And then he pulls in the water hose. Psst.
I wasn't expecting it to be a dog.
I wasn't either.
I was expecting it to be like maybe another chipmunk or something.
Yeah. Well, I was just expecting it to be another character. And then whenever the dog came out, I was like, oh, cool. He's got a dog. When's Millie going to come out?
Yeah.
It never did. And then it finally gets to a part where he goes, there you go, Millie. And I was like, the fuck?
I love the part like right after this where Alvin and the Chipmunks are on the TV and he's like, oh dear God, don't start rapping. Oh, they're rapping. Why do they always have to rap?
Right. And they bring that up later on in the movie, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
It's stupid, but it's hilarious.
Yes, it is.
But we get a letter from Monterey Jack.
No, it's not a letter. He calls him.
Okay.
He calls him, like, leaves a message on his machine.
Who at one point isn't there a letter that's from somebody though?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I must
Yeah.
just be thinking of something else.
Yeah, he calls him and leaves a message on his machine, and Chip's like, I don't like this. Nobody normally leaves a message on my machine.
Yeah.
And and it's Monterey saying that he he needs help and to come see him. And he's like, okay, well, I'll go help him, and we get to Monterey's place, and Monterey Jack was well known for really, really liking cheese, and he got caught up with the Village Gang or the Valley Gang,
The Valley Gang.
the Valley Gang, and he bought so much cheese he couldn't afford to pay it back,
Yeah.
and so which
And
low key,
it was illegal cheese.
low key was this like a fucking drug reference in a Disney's movie? Because
Yeah.
he at one point he's like, I've been dairy free for like a week now. I'm okay.
Yeah. No. It was those actors and actresses that go on and like on screen they're like drinking or whatever, and
Yeah.
they have that thing, and then off screen they have the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was the reference to him being like, "Oh, cheese." So he couldn't handle himself.
Yeah, he couldn't handle himself. He was too far down the rabbit hole to get clean, I guess you could say.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a kind of a funny spin on a drug reference, but I was like, Disney, I was so upset with you right now.
I wasn't. I thought that was fucking funny. I laughed so hard, especially when we get later on in the thing, in the movie, when we go back to the cheese references. I really laughed hard in that point. But yeah, Dale shows
when
up
they go to the cheese dealer.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah.
So
But
let me ask
Dale
you this
shows
real
up.
quick: what do you think about Gadget and Zipper getting together?
That was out of left field.
Definitely.
Totally.
I mean, right off, they you get this little thing like where they look at each other early on when they're on.
And she's like, "Oh, Zipper."
Yeah, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because I think like a lot of people wanted like Chip or Dale to get with her.
Yeah.
In like the original series, and I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what was played up as well, because they did kind of pine and fight over her sometimes, because she was the only girl in the show, basically. And for her to get with Zipper, who is not the choice anybody would pick, and they have like 49 kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, God damn.
Right. And then you
Shit.
get to see some of them. Oh, well, this one looks like da 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 da, and this one looks
This
like
one has
da da da.
This one has Gadget's hands and feet.
Yeah.
This one has
her ears,
her ears, and her eyes. It was weird. It was because the kids do the kids show up towards the end of the movie?
Their kids show up whenever Dale has to go get Gadget to fly the Rescue Ranger plane.
Okay, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. I mean, I was like, okay, we're going there. Okay, Gadget and Zipper are a thing, and then in my brain, I'm like, how did that work?
Right. Cartoons have their own genetics, I guess.
How did that work? We never see Zipper with any pants on. Is his ding dong just flying around? Does he have a ding dong?
Maybe it's concealed, like it's inside, and then it comes out.
Maybe, which got me thinking. I was like, oh man, I'm going down a weird rabbit hole in my head.
What if it's just like they draw like their kid together?
Or what if it's like like a futanari where like the dick just pops out?
I don't know.
Like you know what a futanari is, right?
Yeah, but I don't think it just pops out. I think it's already there.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know how that works. It's a made up thing, okay?
I think it's a pre-existing condition. Okay. Goodness.
Uh,
Um, but we do get to see that, and they throw the cheese out the window.
yeah, which Monty is not happy with. He does not. He wants the cheese. It's like a stinky, like, was it gorgonzola or something?
Yeah,
It's like a rare cheese, I think it was.
yeah. Well, and I guess stinky cheese was what was illegal to
Mm-hmm.
have,
Yeah.
because later on we get that where they're like, "Oh, stinky cheese," and it's like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. But they end up getting into a fight. Dale and Chip end up getting into a fight. They leave, and Dale finds out that Monty has been kidnapped, which I kind of would like to see Monty be kidnapped. He
yeah,
just gets kidnapped off screen, and they kind of explain like the Valley Gang kidnapped him, and they show like an example of somebody taking the like somebody, at
yeah."
one point, like
They put him through like this machine, which is, I
uh-huh.
guess it's the 3D machine
Hmm.
slash the reassignment machine or whatever.
Yeah.
Because the one option that we do get is they take Flounder from The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, because Flounder was missing earlier in the show, in the
Yeah,
movie.
and they show him as what he got kind of remade into, which
Yeah,
is
they
this
kind of
really weird derpy thing.
they take him and they call it bootlegging.
Yeah,
And so they take Flounder and basically change him up enough so he won't get copyright stricken, and they can go make those weird off the wall like low rent Disney adaptations,
yes,
basically, which we do get in the real world, which is
yes,
very, very meta.
yeah. We gotta
Which I
we
was like,
gotta
oh,
we
okay.
gotta
That
find
was
one
pretty
and cover
funny.
it.
That was pretty funny because they call the Little Mermaid like the little fish girl, I think it was.
Yeah, yeah, and they're
I
all
can't,
really shitty names.
and it was like one was like Jasper the Friendly Ghost, and one was like Spaghetti Dogs for like
Yeah,
Lady and the Tramp.
yes,
But they're forced to like make these shitty movies that aren't
yeah,
Disney movies,
yeah,
which was funny. Like to see like Disney acknowledge that there are shitty adaptations of their own movies out there.
right, yeah. Well, and they keep saying that it's over in Japan, which, I mean, we find out that it's in America still at the end of the movie, but not to spoil too much before we get there.
Yeah,
But it is pretty funny that we do have that where they just keep accusing Japan of it.
yeah.
Um, which I thought it was really funny too, that Monty still uses the Rescue Ranger cologne,
Oh yeah, yeah,
even though Rescue Rangers is over, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm the only one that uses that."
yeah. What did they say? It smelled like cheap beer and turpentine. Was it? No, cheap almonds and turpentine or something like that. I
Almonds
can't
and
remember.
auto grease, I think, is what it
Auto or
was.
something. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. And so Chip and Dale, don't they go back to Monty's place?
yeah. They go back to Monty's place to um, double check and see if they can help with the clues.
Hmm.
They're trying to put themselves in the PI work, and long and behold, we have Gumby.
It's not Gumby. They call him something else.
Yeah, it's not Gumby, but it is Gumby.
They call him They call him counterfeit Gumby at one point or something like that, or knockoff Gumby.
Yeah,
Like they make reference to him. Which there's this part in it where I thought was pretty cool, where he like takes his hand and like pushes it on like a fingerprint,
Yeah, and
and
then
then
shaves it off.
he like shaves it off. He's like, take this to evidence. I
Yeah,
was like, oh, that's cool. That's a
yeah.
cool little animation thing.
I like how they played with him on and off doing all the different stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
When we get to the later on scene, it was pretty cool. I like the animation for that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, which we also find out that Monty's apartment's not really that high off the ground
No, it's a small apartment.
because we have the female detective that comes in as well, and she's like looking in straight through the window, talking to everybody about getting evidence and all this other stuff.
Isn't her
So
name like Ellie?
I think so,
Yeah.
but um, we find out that she's also kind of a fan of Chip and Dale,
Super
and that
fan.
yeah, and that Chip and Dale have agreed that they will kind of help work everything out. So their first thing is they think about the stinky cheese and they go find it and where it's actually made.
Yeah.
Um, which I like this part. It was almost like a reference to Harry Potter. We go to this one area and uh,
That was an entire reference to Main Street from Disney World.
yeah, Dell's like, where are we going? And he says,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and he throws him over this little thing, and it's this entire like nice, like French looking, I guess, area building
Yeah,
wise.
that's in Disney World.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
That's Main Street.
and he keeps saying, "Oh, this is a good thing." He goes, "This is where all the black market deals happen,"
Yeah.
and it's crazy because it's all like bright and sunshiny and everything, and you're like,
Yeah.
"What?" And he
But
starts picking out some characters, and he's like, "This
there's a
person got in trouble for this."
there's a part in this movie where you see Phineas and Ferb's mom in the movie,
It's true.
and I happened to see a TikTok where because I follow the creator on TikTok,
Yeah,
and he didn't even know she was gonna be in the movie,
yeah,
and he was working for Disney at that moment, and he was
yeah.
like, you could have chose a better character, like maybe a platypus of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. But yeah, we get to the cheese guy, and he's like, "Oh, you want the cheese? I like the cheese. Oh, cheese, cheese, cheese."
Yeah. Because who's that? Because he's from the Muppets, right?
I think he's just a Muppet character. I don't think he's an actual character that's existed already.
Okay. Well, I thought he was
Yeah.
the little chef guy.
No, he's not the chef guy. No, he's not Bork 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 guy.
Okay. That's who I
Yeah,
thought that he was.
they probably made reference to him in that, but like, I don't think any of the Muppets appear in this movie.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I thought this was him. Because the other thing is, like, you got to think about it. When you watch this, almost everybody has aged at some point, some way,
yeah,
somehow, which is kind of weird at times.
yeah,
Um, but he goes in, they bring up wanting to buy stinky cheese,
yeah.
and he
He's like,
takes
Are
them.
you guys cops?"
Yeah, he cops. He takes them down to this special spot in the bottom of the cellar, which we have plenty of little like mice and rat characters down there.
I thought Ratatouille was gonna show up at this point.
I did too.
I thought he was gonna show up and
I thought it was going to be him, or maybe like Stuart Little, or um, the Mouse House mouse, or
yeah,
different stuff like that.
yeah,
Which who knows? I mean, some of them could have been ones that we just didn't recognize.
maybe there were a lot of different. It was almost like it was like an opioid den,
Yes,
almost for cheese,
yes,
where they were like getting high and eating cheese.
yes.
Basically, that's what it seemed
So,
like.
and yet there was another drug related, a drug related thing in a Disney movie.
Yeah,
But they get kind of like scooped up. They get put in a truck, and they get taken to where what's the guy's name? Sugar. What's Peter Pan's
Sweet Pete.
That's
Sweet
what
Pete.
it is.
Yeah.
Which I kept thinking we were gonna have Pete from Mickey Mouse in it.
I did too, honestly.
When they kept going Sweet Pete, and I was like, I could see that. I could see him
I
being the
thought
villain.
I thought it was gonna be Pete. Yeah, I did.
So and then
not the Pete we got.
then it turns out to be Peter Pan, who
Peter
has
Pan.
aged quite a lot.
And he let himself go.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, I was like,
so this is the part where I gotta ask a couple questions. Okay. So the first thing is I really like that we had the Coke Bear in this.
Yeah,
that's who the polar bear was.
Yeah, the Coca-Cola bear.
Yeah, and I thought that was fucking hilarious that the Coca-Cola bear was a bad guy.
Can we talk about when they get dropped off first? Because they get taken.
Yeah,
I mean, they get taken in like a.
So that's why I wanted. That's why I wanted to cover the Coca-Cola bear first, because this other guy is who I'm confused on. Which Seth Rogen actually voiced this guy.
Yeah. So they end up going to the Uncanny Valley, which is a place where they look real, but they're not real type of situation. Is very much like the whole Mark Hamill thing in The Mandalorian at that time, where it looks like him, but it's off a little bit, which they ended up fixing that quite a bit in the second season. They go to the Uncanny Valley, and they're like, "What is all this?" They're like, "Oh, we're in the Uncanny Valley, where they had all those 3D CG movies that tried to look real, but they weren't. They were like off."
Yeah.
And so you had like people walking into fire hydrants and stuff. And so when they come out, when they get to the place, this dwarf comes out, and the dwarf is Seth Rogen. And they make this whole bit about him not looking at them because he has those dead cold Polar Express eyes.
Yeah.
So I think that was supposed to be like a reference to Gimli.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I could see that. I was like, who is that supposed to be?
I think that was supposed to be a reference to Gimli. I think.
But yeah, and it's funny. They're like, I'm staring at you right now.
He's like, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
You're looking at the window.
All right, Chip, sit right there. I'm going to climb on your shoulder. Is this better? Can you see me now?
Yeah, they dog on that pretty fucking hard.
Yeah, they do. And it's always funny because it happens all the way throughout the movie. Every time you see this guy.
Yeah.
But we actually go down into the lair. They bring up, what happened to Monty, everything else like that. And what's going to happen,
Yeah.
And I really think not like a lot of stuff was going to go on this first time, but because weren't they wearing a wire at this point as well?
No, they weren't wearing a wire.
Okay.
Yeah, they just showed up because they ended up getting kidnapped.
That's right.
And they were gonna take them to go get bootlegged or whatever.
Yeah.
But they end up escaping.
And they find out that Peter Pan has like a Fitbit kind of thingy.
Yeah.
And that they are going to try and track him through this. So they find out where he is going to be at, and it is going to be at a bathhouse.
Yes.
So, but when they invite the detective over the night before, I think it's really funny because you get a little thing where I think it's soda, but they pull out like chipmunk sized sodas, and she's sitting there drinking, and it's so tiny because she's holding it with two fingers, like.
Yeah, I thought it was like soda or beer. I couldn't tell what it was.
Yeah.
And then Dale has this whole room filled with like rescue rangers memorabilia and stuff like that.
Yeah, everything that's ever come out for them.
Dale has all the videotapes, and he asks Ellie like, "Oh,
VHS for anybody that doesn't know.
yeah, it was VHS tapes." And she's like, "Oh, you have this, this, and this," and he's like, "Oh, what's your favorite episode?" And like, she's like, "Oh, I don't know. They like them all, you know."
Yeah, there's too many to pick from.
And she was like, "Oh, they're like, oh, didn't you say you were from like was it like Alabama or Vermont or something like that?" I don't
Yeah,
remember what. And they're like, "Oh, what's this board here?" And like, "Oh, that's where every state where people watched Rescue Rangers at the time, and
and
the
where
place where
what towns we were aired.
yeah, yeah, and Ellie's town didn't air Rescue Rangers." And she's like, "Oh, my grandma taped it for me and would send it to me, you know,"
Yeah,
which is very much like a red herring that they put through like to the audience to make you
that's
think that
true.
Ellie is like the bad guy.
It's a red herring. Red herring.
Yeah,
It's like a double screw you.
yeah, and they end up go after that. They end up going to the like the sauna, right?
Yes,
Dressed up as mice. They use like the old reference to dress up as mice, and they have like all these like thick New York accents, and they go in. And did you see the South Park reference in this scene?
I did.
I want to know how they got him in the movie. And they also have Butthead from Beavis and Butthead in this movie too.
I think I saw that one.
Yeah, but I was like, what the fuck? how did uh
Yeah,
how did Stan's dad get in this movie?
right. Yeah, especially like with the three little pigs. It was like,
Yeah,
the hell.
but yeah, they end up going into the sauna. They get accosted by this snake, which I don't know if the snake was a reference to anybody or anything.
I don't know because I was waiting for them to see if there was like a surgery where like if he was Khan or whatever from like the Jungle Book or something like that, and we never
Yeah,
figured that out. So
yeah.
I'm not
I don't know
sure,
who that was supposed to be.
but he was a rapper snake.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, he pulls up this song and he's like, I already remixed it, and it was the Disney Afternoon theme song.
Yeah,
And so Dale
for
tries
Rescue
to.
Rangers.
No, it wasn't for Rescue Rangers. It was like the afternoon theme song that they had for the like the time, the block of time. It wasn't Rescue Rangers,
Oh, okay,
and yeah, it was
I
like
guess
a
I've never
song that
heard that before.
yeah, it was like a song that they would play before like all the shows started. Basically, it's like, oh,
Oh,
you're
okay,
watching the Disney afternoon thing, you know, and this song would play, like a song would play,
I've
and
never heard that.
well,
That's crazy.
you're also a couple years younger than me, so you might have missed it. Just saying.
Oh well, forget you. You missed the snake.
um so we get the mandatory trying to rap scene,
Oh my
which
god,
is which was hysterical yet cringy at the same time to
it
see
was,
Dale trying to rap.
and to have the same lines.
He's like, I'm Dale, I eat whale. I don't remember what else he
He
said. That's
he
a
says he starts off and he's like, "I'm Dale. I'm not a well. I don't eat well. My
yeah, that's
name
what
is
it
Dale,"
was.
and that's it. And then he just keeps saying, "I don't eat well." Something, and then the snake ends up like getting after Chip. He goes, "My name is
Uh-huh.
Chip. I don't eat well." And it's just like, what the hell?
But they end up barely surviving, getting out of the sauna, and Chip thinks Dale is dead at one point because he's like face down in the water because they end up going through like the sewer systems,
Yeah,
and it turns out to just be a Double O Dale doll,
yeah,
and you see that Chip really cares about Dale, even though he says he doesn't care about Dale whatsoever.
yeah.
He cares about him.
Which then it's funny because after they escape, we have the little dwarf guy come back in, and the snake goes,
Yeah.
"Look what I just recorded." So they knew what he
Yeah.
was asking about, or what was asked about,
Yeah.
to know that they were going to try and go to the docks to get this thing again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which from here we do have where they go try and talk to Ellie again, and
Mm-hmm.
it puts them on the track because they keep referencing the cologne,
Mm-hmm.
and they think that it's her because they do that, and then Chip brings up, "Oh, well, what about all this weird stuff? It didn't air in this town. Very likely story that her grandma got it. You know,
Yeah.
she couldn't give you an answer because there
She's
wasn't
not a
one.
fan.
Yeah,
She's not
fake
a fan.
fake fan.
Fake fan. Fake fan.
So, um, I mean, we have a lot of that, and then we have where they end up going back um, to the thing, which this is we forgot to mention where Chip got his ear turned into a Snoopy ear.
Oh yeah, right. Because um, they end up going through that thing.
Yeah,
Which did you see the references to the different animations that they had in there?
I did, where they had the different drawings
Yeah, like one was
later on.
Simpsons, one was The Simpsons, one was Rick and Morty.
Yeah,
I don't remember what the other ones were off the top of my head.
yeah.
Yeah, but after this is when they're going to the convention, right? To try to get Ugly Sonic to
Uh,
help them, right?
yeah, because he has some ties with the FBI or something like that.
Yeah, because he's doing a show called like Ugly Sonic something, where he goes Ugly Sonic like Ugly Cases, I think it was called.
Yeah,
Oh,
something something
I
weird
can't
like that.
remember. Where he's working with the FBI to take down bad guys.
Yeah, goodness
And
gracious.
Ugly Sonic doesn't want to help them whatsoever. And we get this chase scene through the convention, which is pretty funny. I love when the Coca-Cola bear meets Baloo
Yeah, and he's like a big
from
fan.
from the Jungle Book. He's like, "Oh my god, I'm a big fan. Oh my god!" And Blue's like,
Yeah,
"Oh hey, how's it going?"
and it's the live action Jungle
Yeah,
Book
it's
Blue.
because Baloo had the reconstruction surgery too, or
Yeah,
reassignment surgery. Uh, but after this, Chip gets taken, right?
yeah. They're running, and Chip gets put in the bag.
Yeah, and taken away to be bootlegged. And this is when we get Dale goes to get Gadget and a Zipper, and we meet them, and we find out that she has the rescue. I don't remember what it was called. The plane that they ride in. Do you remember what it was
Uh,
called?
I can't. I don't.
Yeah. It was good to see them in the movie, like 'cause I thought they were gonna leave them like completely out of the movie,
Yeah,
but it was good to see like the other rescue rangers play like significant parts in this movie.
yeah,
I like that part, you know. But they help him, and then we find out that Zipper actually can talk, and
yeah,
he's played by the Allstate guy.
yeah,
He's like, oh, just like a really deep voice. He's like, yeah.
yeah. And he's
I was
like,
like,
"I'm a stay-at-home dad."
I'm a stay-at-home dad. I have 49 kids.
Yeah, yeah,
Because Gidget is like a very popular like mechanic.
yeah. Well, it almost seemed like it was a reference to like Pimp My Ride or something,
Kind of.
because she was going in like pimping out these cars and other things like that. I was like, "What?"
Yeah. She was like really good like mechanic slash like she
Yeah,
like manufactures things or whatever, you know.
yeah. But then we get back to the place,
Uh-huh.
and we find out that Gumby has been
His name was
stabbing us in the back.
I think his name was Putty.
Yeah. Well, I think because isn't he called Gumby Putty?
No.
Okay. Because I kept thinking that it was Gumby, and they kept calling him Agent Putty because his last name was Putty.
I don't know. I don't know.
But we find out that he was the double crosser, not Ellie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they make reference to that. They're like, yeah, it's so obvious. Why wouldn't you not know it was me?
Right. And we found out that he's been setting Ellie up like forever.
Yeah, because they make this this. I kind of wish they would have shown this part where she talked about how like she like couldn't go with them because she's kind of been disgraced by the Force a little bit. Where they get a tip about Nick Jr. and they go to Nick Jr. to about I think Peppa Pig and
Going missing,
going missing. So they go to Nick Jr. and like they get attacked by the Paw Patrol. And the Paw Patrol like beat the shit out of him and like bite him and shit, and like all these other like Disney Junior characters. And I'm like, I kind of wanted to see that animated. Not gonna lie, like that would have been funny. But listening to her talk about it like was pretty funny too, because I didn't expect that whatsoever.
So then she has like the face off, which this is what you said you really enjoyed, the face off with Putty.
Yeah, I like the clay animation, the claymation that they had going on.
Yeah,
was pretty cool. Like the way he would like wrap around and stuff. And there was a part where she takes like a basket and like puts it over his head and like pulls it down, and he like goes through it like Play-Doh.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's cool. And like you see him after that, and he's like his head's like flopping around everywhere.
Yeah.
Like he can't hold it still. I thought it was very well animated, the fight was.
Yeah. Well, and I like where they throw him against the wall and he pulls his face off and he's got like the ink stuck to it. He goes, it's like silly Putty.
Yeah. No, like I thought that was very well animated. To have all these animations brought into like the live action format was pretty cool.
Because I mean we had clay and 3D and 2D and live action. I mean we kind of had like a little bit of everything mixed in together.
Yeah. It was cool.
But we go through like the fight scene. You know, Dell finds Chip. They break the machine, which ends up turning out pretty weird because now we have this weird monstrosity of a Sweet Pete.
It was Sweet Pete, wasn't it?
Yeah, it got changed.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So he's got a Optimus Prime left leg.
I thought it was Voltron for a minute, like a Voltron leg.
No, it's Optimus Prime because he gets it to change.
Because Voltron shows up in this movie at one point.
Yeah. He's got a Wreck-It Ralph left arm. He's got
and when he punches, he says, "I'm gonna wreck it."
Yeah. He's got Mickey Mouse pants on. He's got the main villain from the cat villain from Rescue Rangers. His face.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot
it's like a baby. It's like a baby cat face, kind of.
I forgot what.
It's like a gun. He has like a gun arm, right?
Yeah. On the other one, I was going to ask you what that came from because that is the only one I didn't know.
I didn't know what that was either.
Because the other leg is. Oh crap! The other leg is.
I didn't know what the other arm was. I didn't know what the leg was either. I didn't notice the leg.
Yeah, I can't remember what the leg was.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a Woody leg. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he had the Mickey Mouse pants and everything else. I just didn't know the gun arm. That was the only thing I didn't know.
I didn't know what that was either.
We'll probably find that out and be like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a movie I'm going to have to go back and watch.
Yeah.
Again.
So they go and fight him. And this is a reference that I really like was the birds. Whenever you whack somebody over the head, birds come out. And Chip and Dale are both trying to whack each other to get the birds to come, and it zooms in on one of the birds, and his phone's ringing like he's got an appointment. And his wife
Yeah.
goes, "Just let it ring. You don't have to go."
He's
He
like, I
goes,
got to. It's my job.
"It's my job, woman. I have to go."
Yeah.
And then it takes a little time, but they finally get there.
And the
And
birds do distract the Sweet Pete.
yeah, the cat face Sweet Pete.
Yeah, cat face Sweet Pete.
So, and then he ends up dropping like a crate of something on top of himself.
Yeah, and that's how they save Monterey Jack and Chip. And Monty is now an elephant
Dumbo.
mouse or rat.
Yeah, he
He's
was
been Dumbo-fied.
Yeah, he was Dumbo. I was like, what?
Yeah, it was weird. And like we had all these different like hodgepodge of characters in this like shipping container, which I was trying to see who
Yes.
they were, but I couldn't tell who they were exactly.
Yeah.
And
Well, and it's because they were mashed up as much as like whatever too.
yeah, so it was hard to tell. Like I could tell who Monty was, but the other ones I couldn't tell
Yeah.
exactly who they were. And yeah, they saved the day.
Flounder.
Flounder was there, yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're all there because they were making the illegal
Yes.
remakes or whatever in the same area.
Yeah, that was funny when they ran into Winnie the Pooh and Tigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, they saved the day.
Because wasn't it Winnie Pooja?
Yeah, Winnie Pooja.
And then they had the Simpsons, and it was, I can't remember what they called them. Something else, but I mean it was crazy looking.
Oh, we forgot Ugly Sonic does save the day.
Yeah, he comes in on the plane or on the helicopter.
Because he is working for the FBI.
Yeah.
And he saves the day and helps out. We forgot about Ugly Sonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It ends up turning out pretty crazy, I have to say.
Yeah. So yeah, the movie ends, you know, they're all back together and whatnot. What did you think of this movie, like all together?
This movie was crazy.
In a good way?
In a good way.
Okay.
It was it was just insane. I mean, that's all I can say.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had fun with it.
Yeah.
It definitely like went above and beyond what I thought it was gonna be. Because I knew I only saw like the first trailer and that was it for this movie, and I was expecting it to kind of be like shitty, but it's a movie that has a lot of heart,
Yeah.
and it definitely pokes fun at all the 3D CG movies that have come before. This particular part, like we didn't even talk about the part where the dwarf guy runs into Pumbaa, and then the mantis from Kung Fu Panda, as well as the blob from that monster movie, which are all played by Seth Rogen.
Yeah. I mean there were plenty of, I mean, and some of those I didn't even see. So
Yeah.
it's definitely one of those movies that you'll have to go back and watch multiple times.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many references that unless you pause it, you're not going to be able to notice all of them.
I would say this is definitely like the modern day Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
And like Roger Rabbit's a classic, you know. And it's very much a movie that you're gonna have to go back and rewatch, possibly. I liked all the references. There were a lot of references in here where I was like, "Oh, this movie kind of is a little dark." Like it has some like very like cynical humor in it as well, and some like a lot of there's like a fair amount of adult humor in this. Like
Yes.
if you don't if you're not an adult, you won't probably catch it. But there are points where it's really funny. Like I thought the animation was good. There are some parts where I thought maybe Chip was actually 3D but smoothed down
Yeah.
at different angles if you would look at him, kind of. Um, but I mean, it was all in all, it was a very well done movie. Way better than Alvin and the fucking Chipmunks. I'll tell you that much.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, like it was very much like self-referential humor when comes to like them making fun of themselves, making fun of Disney. Like this was a very 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 meta movie,
Yes.
and who better to make it than like Disney?
Yes.
I have no real gripes about this movie because I just had fun with it. It was just a fun movie.
That's true.
Uh, you know, uh, you might not get some of the references if you haven't seen the TV show. Like my daughter hasn't seen Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, and I watched
Right.
it with my daughter, and she knew who Chip and Dale were, but she didn't know what Rescue Rangers was.
Yeah.
So I have to go sit her down and make her watch Rescue Rangers.
Right. Well, and they have that remake that is like them as like really cheesy cartoon style.
Do they?
Yeah. So I looked that up and I was like, they didn't make a reference to this in the movie.
Oh, I didn't see that. I never seen that show.
Yeah, it's another Chip and Dale thing. I don't know if it's Rescue Rangers or if it's I don't. Well, it's
Is,
probably not, but it's just Chip and Dale.
is it just Chip and Dale like before Rescue Rangers?
I think so.
Like
Yeah,
because
but
there's Chip and
it
Dale's.
came after that.
Yeah, because there's Chip and Dale shorts where they're not like Rescue Rangers isn't referenced
Yeah.
at all. Like Dale doesn't have like the Hawaiian shirt on and stuff. But yeah,
No.
I really wanted to see like a making or behind the scenes of this movie
Yeah.
to see how they got everything together and just how they like.
Could be.
I would love to see like a documentary where like they had like all the ins and outs of making of this movie.
I mean, there could be. You got to look and see if they have a behind the scenes with the director or whatever. In the movie part of it.
Do they?
If they do, it'll be in that. You just go into the
Okay.
movie, and then it's they have like 4 things where it's like related to something
Yeah.
else, and the full like paragraph of what they're talking about or
I kind
people.
of wonder if Disney is kicking themselves because they didn't release this in theaters.
I have no idea.
Like, I want to know what was the state of mind for not releasing this in theaters. Like, did they think it was just gonna bomb? You know?
I don't. Maybe there was like something where they couldn't release it in theaters
Maybe. Who knows?
because of all the different characters they had in it.
Yeah, but Roger Rabbit was in theaters when and that was released.
Yeah, but maybe there's licensing issues now, because back in the day
I
there weren't all those. You
No, they
still
still had
had them,
license.
but I
I
know,
don't
but
know.
I mean them being like more strict now.
Yeah. Well, let me
Maybe it
ask you.
was maybe
And they were
instead of
pretty
like using
strict.
the
They
character.
were pretty strict back in the day. Like for Roger Rabbit, like Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny had to have the exact amount of screen time.
Yeah,
It had to have the exact amount of lines of dialogue in the movie
that's funny.
in order for Bugs Bunny to be in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, and we saw some Looney Tunes references in this movie too, which was pretty crazy. Batman was in this movie, which we didn't even talk about that. The Batman ET fight, where they parodied the Batman Superman thing, which is pretty funny.
I don't
Uh,
even know if I recognize that in this at all.
yeah, there was a Batman ET reference where it was Batman versus ET, and it was like ET,
Oh, you mean
ET.
on the movie poster?
No, but they show part of the movie as well. Like
Oh,
you see ET on the screen, and like you see Batman, He's like, "Okay, I'm sorry."
I don't. I don't.
Like
I don't
like
remember
ET
that.
is ET is dying.
I don't.
It's
I
like
don't know if I watched all that then.
yeah, it was funny. But yeah, would you want a sequel to this movie?
No.
No,
No.
not at all.
No. It was all wrapped up pretty with a bow. um. And I don't really know how they would get another one. And you know, and I don't know who I would want to see, because now that they've had this one, if they had another one, there wasn't a character in there that I wanted, I'd get really upset about it. So
Not gonna lie, I don't want a sequel to this movie. I want to see like Darkwing Duck. Like I want to see like a Darkwing Duck movie.
yeah,
That would be fun.
live action.
I would go live action, similar to
So
this.
so what would you rate this movie?
Um, because I fell asleep, I would give it a 4.5 in the middle of the movie. I was so
Goodness
tired I
gracious.
fell asleep. So
So
there's a chunk of this movie I don't remember.
so I'm gonna match you and say 4.5.
Okay. Okay.
Um, only because I felt like it was kind of a waste to have all the different characters in there the way that they did, because there
Uh-huh.
was so much I felt like I missed, not trying to get like every reference. Yeah, I
I
mean,
can
there's
see
plenty of
that.
references I missed too.
I can see that. I can totally see that because like you're looking for the references and not necessarily paying attention on the movie itself.
Right.
So
So,
I can totally get that gripe with it
and then
because I
and then whenever I paid attention to the movie, then I missed references, so it was just kind of
yeah.
like, you know,
No, I felt that way as well a little bit. You know, like there were some references that I caught that my wife didn't catch. Like there was a Dobby Gucci reference in the movie where Dobby was modeling for Gucci.
I did not see that either.
Yeah, it's like a
But
picture on a billboard.
I mean, there's other stuff too, because I think when they go to the police department, they have one part, and like you can see, and it's not a notable character, but you can see like the guy that gives people coffee or whatever, whoever
Yeah.
it was. It might not have been the police department now that I'm thinking about it. But then you have this other guy that's in a cubicle. Oh, it's at Dell's office. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
There's like another gorilla guy or somebody in the back cubicle, and I couldn't see it well enough to know that. So that's my other gripe, is some stuff it was like out of sight or something like that, or you could kind of see it in the background, but I wish that they had kind of pulled stuff a little closer to the front.
Well, maybe that's the whole point of the movie is looking in the backgrounds, and just pointing them out and finding them and stuff like that.
Yeah. But I mean, there's just so much stuff that it almost seemed like it was a
There
waste.
was so much stuff. Like, oh my
It
god.
just seemed like it was a waste at times. Like the Ash Ketchum reference, like I got that.
Hmm.
Um, People in the cosplay, but I wish that they were just a little closer so you could actually like tell that stuff. Things like that. Even if you were going to pause it, then you could see it. I just think there was so much stuff like jumbled together that when you wanted to focus on one thing, you couldn't really see it.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like your eyes is taken in so many different directions when
Yeah.
you're watching the movie. But I mean, I still had fun with it.
Yeah.
Um, it was it was a predictable yet unpredictable movie
That's true.
because you would think it would go one way and it goes a completely different way.
Right.
Like later on with the whole like Peter Pan thing, and you know, we didn't even talk about that where Peter Pan like hit puberty and stuff, and he like
Right.
couldn't get work because he hit puberty. Very relatable.
Yeah.
With child stars. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun little movie. I would watch it again probably, like
Yeah.
later down the road. Yeah,
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So we both gave it a 4.5. So it's a 4.5. I mean, there's no arguing on that one.
Yeah.
So if anybody is gonna check it out or whatever, check it out. Listen to the podcast. Let us know what you think about it. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday. And Mike will always be on the bottom.